Hi, Parker and Georgia. It's Daddy. I'm here to read you another story. Today, we're going to read Alice in Wonderland. Ready? One day, a young girl named Alice found herself trapped with a history lesson. While her sister read of ancient kings, Alice crowned her cat Dinah. The day was simply too splendid for lessons, thought Alice. See? As soon as she could, Alice slipped away from her lesson. "Oh, Dinah," she sighed, "in my world there would be no lessons. All would be nonsense." As Alice dreamed of her Wonderland, a well-dressed white rabbit ran past. I'm late," said the white rabbit. Alice raced after him. "He must be going to something awfully important, like a party," she told Dinah. They followed the white rabbit to a rabbit hole. See, look, there's the white rabbit. He's very late. Look at his claw. Alice squeezed into the rabbit hole even though she knew she didn't belong there. "After all," she said, "curiosity often leads to trouble." I think she fell in the hole. Alice's voice disappeared into the dark hole along with the rest of her. Alice floated down through the darkness. As a lamp drifted past, Alice turned it on and looked about her. Look, she's falling down the hole. Kitty's staying behind, though. As Alice landed, a pair of white rabbit feet raced past her. "Oh, wait, Mr. White Rabbit, please," Alice called. She raced down the hallway as the white rabbit slammed the door behind him. Alice followed him through smaller and smaller doors. "Curiouser and curiouser," Alice said. Look, there she is, chasing him down the hallway, going down through smaller doors. At the last, smallest door, Alice twisted the knob. A nose wiggled under her hand. What a strange place, Alice thought. She asked the doorknob if she could go through. "Sorry," said the doorknob, "you're much too big." See, it's a very little door. The door's got a very big nose. "Why don't you try this bottle on the table?" the doorknob suggested. A glass bottle labeled "Drink Me" appeared. With each sip, Alice shrank. Now she could fit through the door, but the door was locked. Look, it's a really big bottle. Alice is really little. Tiny Alice couldn't unlock the door. A magic cookie made her into a giant Alice, but giant Alice couldn't fit through the door. She began to cry, and her tremendous tears flooded the room. Alice shrank herself again and floated through the door's keyhole. Look, she's floating in a river of tears. Poor Alice. A wave swept Alice into a very odd race. Fish and birds ran around a dodo, trying to get dry while the waves kept them wet. Alice spotted the white rabbit again. "Mr. Rabbit," she called. Look. There's the rabbit. Alice chased the white rabbit until she was deep in a wood. Instead of finding the white rabbit, she found a pair of twins. "I'm Tweedledee," said one, "and I'm Tweedledum," said the other. Look, they're weird looking. I like their ties though. It's pretty cool. Alice told Tweedledee and Tweedledum, "I'm following the white rabbit. I'm curious to know where he's going." Tweedledum sighed. "It can be dangerous to be too curious." "I'm sure you're right," said Alice, "but nevertheless," and she hurried off to find the white rabbit. He's goofy. To Alice's surprise, the White Rabbit found her. "I'm late," he said. "Go get my gloves." Inside his cottage, Alice found cookies labeled "Eat Me." Happily, Alice helped herself. Soon she felt herself growing and growing and growing and growing and growing some more until her arms and legs stuck out of the White Rabbit's cottage. "Help! Monster!" said the White Rabbit, and he ran for the dodo. The dodo suggesting burning down the house. Look, she's sticking out the house. Alice ate a carrot from the rabbit's garden and shrank into a tiny size again. As the dodo asked her for a match, the White Rabbit ran once more. "Oh dear," puffed tiny Alice. "I'll never catch him." Look, there's the dodo. There's a little tiny Alice. There's the White Rabbit. He's running away. Alice ran out of the garden and came to a caterpillar making smoky vowels. "Who are you?" he asked, puffing out a U. Alice blew his smoke away and blew the caterpillar right out of his clothes. Look, it's a naked caterpillar right there. Alice was worried until she saw the caterpillar had become a butterfly. As the new butterfly flew away, he told her, "One side of the mushroom will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter." Alice broke off 2 pieces of the mushroom. "I wonder which side is which," she said. With a shrug, Alice bit the first piece of mushroom. She's eating mushrooms. Don't eat wild mushrooms, it's bad. Normal size again, Alice tucked the leftover mushroom pieces into her pocket. She searched for some sign of the White Rabbit. She did find signs, plenty of them, but they didn't help. As Alice puzzled which way to go, she heard singing. Look at all of the signs, but they don't say anything. Who do you think could be singing? Alice looked up and saw a large mouth grinning down at her. Bit by bit, the body of a Cheshire cat appeared. What's a Cheshire cat? "If you don't really like to know," he said, "the White Rabbit went that way. Of course, if I were looking for a white rabbit, I'd ask the Mad Hatter. Or there's the March Hare. Of course, he's mad too. Most everyone's mad here." Look, he looks crazy right there. You see that? Alice walked on until she heard more singing. That must be the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, she thought. As the tea for twosome wished each other merry unbirthday, Alice tried to join them, but the pair shouted, "No room!" "Oh, I'm very sorry," said Alice, "but I did enjoy your singing." "You enjoyed our singing?" said the March Hare. "What a delightful child!" exclaimed the Mad Hatter. Look, they're crazy. You see that? It's a pretty cool tea party, though. The Mad Hatter swept off his hat and wished Alice a merry unbirthday. There on the top of his head was an unbirthday cake. "Now blow out the candle and make your wish," said the Mad Hatter. Look, he's got a hat, cake hat, right there under his hat. That's strange. As if the answer to Alice's wish, the White Rabbit appeared. "I'm late," he cried. The Mad Hatter and the March Hare decided that the rabbit's watch must be broken. So they fixed it with jam and a lemon. Look, they put jelly on his watch. A little bit of lemon. Right on top. Alice shook her head and walked away. "I've had enough nonsense," she said, but she couldn't find her path home. Above her, Alice heard the Cheshire Cat again. I want to go home, she told him. And the Cheshire Cat opened a door in the tree, and Alice stepped through into the world of the Queen of Hearts. Alice soon learned that everyone was afraid of the Queen. Suddenly a royal trumpet sounded, and the White Rabbit raced into the royal court. Perhaps Alice thought this was why he was always in such a rush. He wouldn't want to be late to announce the Queen. No one would. He's blowing a trumpet. Her Imperial Highness, called the White Rabbit, the Queen of Hearts. The cards cheered as the Queen entered, and trailing behind her, the King cleared his throat. And the King, said the White Rabbit. See, there she is. Look, there's a little tiny king right there. The Queen spotted Alice. Why, it's a little girl. Now, where are you from? And where are you going? I'm trying to find my way home, Alice answered. Your way? The Queen shouted. All ways here are my ways. The Queen calmed down, and when she learned that Alice played croquet. The Queen loved croquet, and the cards always made sure she won. As the Queen prepared to swing, the Cheshire Cat appeared. Only Alice could see him. Look, he's on her butt, right there. On the butt. You know, he told Alice, we could make her really angry. Oh no, said Alice, stop! The Cheshire Cat tangled the Queen's skirt and tripped her up. And as she flopped down, her skirt flapped up. Got hearts on her undies right there. The Queen heaved herself up. Someone's head's gonna roll for this. She bellowed at Alice. Yours. The King pulled on the Queen's skirt. Couldn't she have a little trial first? The Queen harumphed and said yes. Look, she angry. Don't get her angry. The White Rabbit read the charge. Alice had caused the Queen of Hearts to lose her temper. Are you ready for your sentence? The Queen asked Alice. Sentence? Said Alice. But there must be a verdict first. They're in court. Sentence first, the Queen thundered. Off with her head. Alice found the mushroom pieces in her pocket and stuck them in her mouth. She grew until she towered over the Queen. I'm not afraid of you, Alice said to the Queen. Look how big Alice is. Little tiny Queen right there. Suddenly, Alice felt herself shrinking. Off with her head! The Queen shouted once more, and the court of cards closed in on Alice. She raced away into a maze. She escaped the maze and found herself back in the Dodo's beach race. The cards chased Alice down the beach, and in the wisps of smoke, Alice saw the doorknob and his little tiny door. Alice tugged on the doorknob. I simply must get out, she gasped. But you're outside, the doorknob said. Alice peered through the keyhole, and she was, sleeping in the meadow where she had heard her history lesson. Alice's sister woke her. It's time for tea. Alice looked around. Her Wonderland, with its angry queen, was gone. Alice shook away the dream and smiled. The day was simply too splendid for nonsense. The end. The end. Well, that's another story for you guys. I have so much fun reading to you. Maybe next time you can read with me. I love you.